Welcome to another sermon from the Lewes Church of Christ. And now, here's Mark.
Most all of the preaching in 2015 is going to come from Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, or Colossians. Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, or Colossians. Most of the preaching this year is going to come right out of those books. Now, and that is the right order that they're listed in the New Testament. And the way I can remember the order of Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians is because God eats peanut butter cookies. All right? You just memory tools, helps me remember God eats peanut butter, and that's a hyphenated word, cookies. You know, G-E-P-C, you know, God eats peanut butter cookies. Galatians, Ephesians, Colossians, Philippians, Colossians. That's how I remember it. And all four of those books are called, they're referenced often as prison epistles. Now what that means is, all four of these letters written to churches, all four of them were written by the Apostle Paul while he was in prison. And he was in prison because he had been arrested for preaching the gospel of Jesus. Question. If you were arrested and put into prison because of preaching the gospel of Jesus, what would be your prayer? What was that? Get me out of here. I think that would be my prayer. Get me out of here, right? Or something like, you know, maybe we would be like, really, God? I preach the gospel, and this is what it gets me? Really? Hello? Is anyone up there? Right? What was that? Get in prison? You might, maybe, I don't know. What would be your prayer? I think, get me out of here. At best it would be, Lord, help me to make the most of this. At best it would be, Lord, give me wisdom and give me energy to even use this situation to glorify you. At best that's what it would be. But the Apostle Paul kind of reveals his maturity in these letters to the Galatians and the Ephesians and the Philippians and Colossians. And he especially reveals his maturity through the prayers he offers his people in those letters. I want to read to you one of his prayers. It's in Philippians chapter 1. And as I read this prayer, I want you to notice his prayer. And I want you to notice he isn't praying anything for himself. It's all for the people he loves at Philippi. Check out this prayer. I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. And I am being confident in this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. It is right for me to feel this way about all of you since I have you in my heart. And whether I am in chains or defending and confirming the gospel, all of you share in God's grace with me. It keeps going. God can testify how I long for all of you with the affection of Christ Jesus. And this is my prayer. This is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of our God. Isn't that a great prayer? In this series, Got You Covered, here's what we're doing. We are looking at different prayers that the Apostle Paul had for the people that he loved in the different churches. And what he kept saying to them as he kept offering prayers for them, and what he was communicating, hey, I got you covered. I got you covered in prayer. Now, what I want you to know that in this series, the Apostle Paul is mentoring me. And the Apostle Paul is helping me become a better preacher by helping me become a better prayer. Now, we started this last week. Last week, if you remember, from Ephesians chapter 3, we looked at, there were two things that were loud and clear. And basically, Paul told me loud and clear through the text that every church member wants two things at least from their preacher. Number one, they want to know that he is on his knees before the Father. And number two, they want him on his knees on their behalf. Got you covered. Got you covered. And he's making me a better preacher by making me a better prayer, and I'm praying more for you. Got you covered. I want to share with you what he did in me this week through our text today. And he's helping me, again, be a better prayer. He did that in a couple ways. And first of all, I wanted to tell, he reminded me, Mark, keep up the prayer prompts. Prompts. And I heard loud and clear, keep up the prayer prompts. Prayer prompts, I want you to look at verse 3 again. Right from verse 3, it simply says, I think it's up there, I thank my God every time I remember you. That tells me that the Apostle Paul used prompts. Then every time something triggered his memory about them, he'd pray for them. I love that. I love prayer prompts. Every time I remember you, when something would prompt his memory about them, he'd pray for them. That is a great discipline. A great, great discipline. I love prayer prompts. My favorite prayer prompt, I've told you before, is drive-by prayer shootings, right? Let me explain. Drive-by prayer shooting. If I were to drive by your place of work or your residence or your vehicle, or I just see you out on the sidewalk, I want it to be a prompt for me to pray for you. Now, I want you to come with me on a little journey. You'll be able to do this quite easy, but just a little journey. I want to give you an illustration of what often happens in my mind, all right? Let's say that I'm going to have a meeting with you at Moe's today for lunch, all right? You know, one of our family favorites down at Moe's. I'm going to meet with you at lunch today for Moe's, and if I were to leave my office here at the crossing and head down and to meet you at Moe's, here's what's going through my mind. All right, by way of prayer prompts, because I'm driving by a lot of prayer prompts. For example, at the intersection out here, I know I can kind of look over and see the Hudson's property. So I'm praying for Joe right off the bat. I turn south on Route 1, and I'm headed south, and it's like 3 houses down. Oh, there's Rachel's place. Pray for Rachel. A few just feet down the road, there's Painter's Mill. I know several church families live in that Painter's Mill area, and I can start thinking about them. Oh, there's Kathy at Keyboard America. Oh, Steve, the Bells, Master Grab Bar, right there on the left, right? Oh, and the road that heads off to Edgewater. I know some families from the church that live in the Edgewater or in that area, and I can start thinking about them. And then I round the curve over Nassau, the Nassau Bridge, right? And I come down. Well, that first road to the right, you know where it heads back on that winery road, right? Right by Richard Reed's Atlantic Millwork and Ted Dabb's dojo place and the factory, the Woods family. Oh, man, all kinds of prayers. Well, right there to the left is Taramino place. My mother-in-law has a place in Taramino, so I could pray for my mother-in-law. It's a great prayer. And then the church, the Catholic church building is there. Every time I pass a church building, it's a prayer prompt for me to pray for the next sermon that's in the making, right? Then I'm praying for Brian at Sound Effects, and then I'm praying at Bob at PNC, and old Ed Wade at Home Depot, and Bob and Andy at Savannah Animal Hospital. And then Tony at Elgin at Wawa, and then Mike and Kim at Rita's, and then Mike and Kelly at McDonald's, and Starbucks is there, and so I got Amy and Steve, and then there's Wells Fargo in the corner. I'm praying for Ed Ganser. I tell you what, at the time I'm praying for half the church by the time I meet you for lunch. which makes me extra hungry. But I love drive-by prayer shootings. It's just a prompt. I'd love for you to do that. I have some specific ones, too, some specific prompts. For example, anytime I see a RE/MAX Realty sign, I pray for Andrew and Kim, work for RE/MAX. You ever see those WVs on the back of a car? I think it stands for West Virginia. I'm not sure. When I see that, I'm praying for Ed and Sue Ganser and Marie Price. And here's the reason why. If you're from West Virginia, don't you need a little extra help? Where's Marie? You know that's true. But anyway, hey, there's stickers on the back of a car that's like LAX. Now, I'm so stupid. I used to think that was like for a laxative. I understand now it's for lacrosse. Well, when I see the lacrosse little symbol, I pray for the Smiths of our church. And there's several Smiths involved in our church. I pray for the Smiths. I'm not going to tell you about which one, but a couple weeks ago, one of the Smiths came up to me and she said, Mark, why do you always use baseball illustrations? Why can't you use a lacrosse illustration from time to time? Well, there you go. When I'm driving my car and, I keep checking the mileage and then I check the little oil change sticker, pray for the Marshes. My mechanic. I've got all kinds of prayer prompts, right? At the top of the hour, I try to pray for my kids wherever they are, whatever they're doing at that moment. Now, sometimes I don't know. So I'm praying for my kids at the top of the hour. This is a weird one. Please forgive me already. But, we live at the beach in the summertime. Here's what I've prompted my mind to do. If I, at the beach and I see a lady in a string bikini, two-piece string bikini, it's a prompt for me to pray for the purity of my wife and my daughter. You got to do something with those thoughts that just come in. Yeah, it's a good prayer. They get a lot of prayers that way. There are so many prayer prompts. I love prayer prompts, specific prayer prompts. And I got a lot more. I can't share with them all, but you get the point, right? Prompt. I thank my God every time I remember. The Apostle Paul, this past week, also helped me with the request. The request. I want to share with you, I want to read verse 9 through 11. I want you to listen to this request. It's just really one request. It's the perfect request. Look at this. And this is my prayer. All right, here it comes. Here comes the request. This is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight. Your love may abound more and more and more, right? So that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Christ Jesus, to the glory and praise of God. The request is abounding love. That your love would abound more and more and more. Abounding love. Friends, I want to tell you, I can't think of a better request that we could have for each other and that your preacher could have for you. That your love would abound more and more. It's the perfect request for 4 reasons. And he gives us the reasons. The perfect request. First of all, it comes right from verse 10, so that you'll be able to discern what is best. You see, love ought to be driving our decisions so that you'll be able to discern what is best. If you have abounding love and you're operating out of love, you're going to be able to make right decisions. It's going to drive your decisions. The first reason why this is a perfect request. The second one comes from verse 10. Also, that you may be pure and blameless. You see, it's going to define your character. If you are overflowing with love, it's going to define your character. It's going to drive decisions, define your character, and then look at verse 11. It's going to develop fruit, filled with the fruit of righteousness. If you're driven by love, it's going to just filled with fruit. And then the last one, it's going to delight our God, to the praise and glory of our God forever. It's the perfect request. that you abound in love. Now, last week we learned that Paul, in his prayer was that all of us would be able to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of God, right? Here, it's that it would abound more and more and more, overflowing. That's my request for you. And it's the perfect request. The Apostle Paul, also in our text, helped me with attitude. Attitude. Verse 3 says, I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy. His attitude of prayer was thanksgiving and joy. How could he always be full of thanksgiving and joy? I mean, he's in prison. How can he be so full of thanksgiving and joy? Well, let me explain what he's thinking about. And this would fill us, any of us, with thanksgiving and joy. Look at this next text. Look at the reasons why he's full of thanksgiving and joy. First of all, from verse 5, because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. He is so thankful because he realizes they're on mission together. They're doing life together, and they're doing the same mission together. Paul's in prison, yeah, he's separated, but they're on the same page. They're living the same life. They're on mission together. And that he is so thankful. Here at the crossing, we're on mission together. I'm so thankful. Look at this next one. Verse 6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Who is the one at work in us? Jesus. The Spirit of Jesus. You know why he's so thankful? It's because Jesus was at work in all of them together. He wasn't just at work in Paul. He was at work in the church. All the church. Everybody. They're on mission together. They're working with Jesus together. Pretty cool. Look at another reason why he's filled with thanksgiving and joy. Verse 7. It's right for me to feel this way about all of you since I have you in my heart. They're connected heart to heart. They have an affection for each other. They love each other. And he's so thankful that it was kind of a mutual respect together, a mutual love together. Keep reading. And whether I am in chains or defending and confirming the gospel, all of you sharing God's grace with me. They're all under grace together. On mission together, with Jesus together, connected mutually together, under God's grace together. It doesn't get any better than that. And he's so thankful, and he's so full of joy. Apostle Paul's making me a better preacher because he's making me a better prayer. Keep using prompts, right? The perfect request, abounding love, attitude, thanksgiving and joy. And I want you to know, I want to be a pastor in the likeness of Paul. I want to serve you like he served the people he loved in the churches he wrote to. And I want you to know, I'm going to have a prompt in place for you. And I'm going to have this request, the perfect request, going out on your behalf. I'm going to. And I want you to know, I'm going to have the right attitude. When I think about you, I'm going to pray out of thanksgiving and joy. And I want all of you to know, it's all for you. Did you see what I did there? Some of you caught it. Did you see what I did there? Look at the first letters. P-R-A-Y. Now, why would I do that? Here's why I did that. First of all, I can remember it for sermon flow. P, prompt, request, A, attitude, you, right? But not only can I remember this, I'm pretty certain you can remember this. Prompt, request, attitude for you. So can I encourage you? Can I encourage you today? Would you build in some prayer prompts for the people you love? I want you to have a prayer prompt for your wife, your spouse, your husband. I want you to have a prayer prompt for your kids. I want you to have a prayer prompt for your grandkids. I want you to have a prayer prompt for your friends and your workmates and the people you love. and especially your preacher, get you a prayer prompt, all right? And the request. Would you just pray? Would your greatest prayer for the people you love be that their love would abound more and more and more? Because it affects everything. It's going to drive their decisions about everything. It's going to define their character. Right? It's going to, it affects everything, and it delights our God. And so, and then when you get a chance, you know, out of the attitude is always thanksgiving and joy. You're praying thanksgiving for them. Find reasons to be thankful and joyful for the people in life that you're doing life with. And then when you get a chance, just tell them, I'm praying for you. It's so encouraging to know someone's praying for you. So just tell them, I'm praying for you. Church, I want you to know I'm becoming a better preacher by being a better prayer. I got you covered. So here's one more question. Who do you got covered?
This has been a presentation of the Lewes Church of Christ. We are located at 15183 Coastal Highway, Milton, Delaware, 3 miles north of Lewes on Highway 1. Our service times are 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. every Sunday morning.